All right, today we got a bunch of stuff we got going on. We're trying to get
Whoa, breaking news. All right, today is all about brake lines, and we're flaring the end of your brake line, and we got 9 tips to show you, maybe 10.
11, 12, a lot of tips.
A lot of tips.
A lot of times on these cars, you can buy kits for them, but if you do a lot of custom stuff like we're doing back here and stuff that lowering and different suspensions and stuff, you have to make your own lines to get everything to fit just right. So today we're going to show you how to reflare your own lines.
Now, if you've been here before and you've been to our channel, we really appreciate you coming back. And if you're new here, subscribe, because we got a lot of good information. We're putting out videos every single week. And if you ring the bell, you'll get a notification of when the next one comes up. Let's get going on this. So if you bought one of the stainless steel kits and you need to make another brake line, you can do that. The problem is using these normal flaring tools, it's just not gonna happen. It's nearly impossible. Yeah, nearly impossible to do it. But you can still do everything we're gonna do here, and there's usually a local shop that can do the stainless steel flare. You take them your bent line that's ready to go, and they'll flare it for you. That's the way to do it. Otherwise, you gotta buy expensive tools to do that. And we're not about expensive tools.
These are very inexpensive tools you can get at any auto parts store.
Yep. The first one we're gonna do is talk about the double flare, which basically it looks like a single flare. It's flared out this way. And then the next step, you actually flare it back in on itself. And that's standard on almost all cars. I mean, I don't even know what percent, 90%, whatever. Yeah. Most cars have that flare, but some of them have the
bubble flare, which is what Volkswagen uses. Bubble has basically a bubble on the end of it. So that's what we're going to be showing you today, how to do that. Our last bender we have here is 37 degrees. This is for AN fittings, for hydraulic fittings, JIC. You don't want to use that on brakes. It's not the right tool for the job. So it's going to be one of these two for this.
And by bender, he means flaring tool.
I said bender?
Yep. All right, we got our flaring tool in the vise. The vise makes it a lot easier. It gives you an extra hand to work with. First thing you want to do is cut off your tubing, which these little tubing cutters work great. Just get it on there and you spin it around, and that'll help get you a nice cut, straight cut. But you also have to kind of deburr the edges. And you can take a drill bit, just kind of stick it on there and do a little turn. That'll get that sharp edge off of there. And then you could have an edge out here on the outside edge. And for that, you can just use a file or something. You got a file, Ryan? A real file. Thank you. Then you just kind of file that edge down. That'll make a nice flare when you do that. So you got to get it in the tool. And what you want to do is kind of get it in place. And then this die here, the die dealio, I call it, you want the depth to be the same height as that first edge there, that's pretty close. So here's the tip of the day. Is going to be, when you tighten this back down, start with the nut that's closest to the tubing. What that does, it gives you a lot more clamping force. So you just get it snug there, and then this side here, that's really gonna snug it down. If you don't do that, it's gonna push the tube right out the bottom, and you gotta start over. And it happens all the time. Then you put your little die in there, the die dealio. Set that in there. Put your little clamping vise thing on there. Here's another tip. Make sure your die is nice and flat, because if it's not, again, you'll be doing it over, and that happens a lot. Then all you do is you run it down a little bit. Don't get crazy. This wrench is crazy. Pull your die out, and it kind of looks like a bubble flare there. You think you could stop there if you were doing a bubble flare, but it's different. Then you just put your press back on there. Same thing, make sure that everything's nice and square. Tighten it down. You don't gotta get crazy on it. If you do, it's gonna ruin it. There you go. Take everything out. And you got your first flare. Now, when you screw up and you don't put your little thing on the end, you can always save a line that's already cut to length and it's so close and you got a perfect line. These cutoff tools usually have a little slot in it so you can put the flare right in there and you cut it off nice and tight. Just get it in there, tighten it down, and just, you know, just like spin it around, and it'll cut off and you start over again. I guarantee you're gonna do it a couple times, especially if it's the first time you've done it. So,
Okay, for the next flare here, we're gonna make a line for this bus that's on the lift up here. It's got a bunch of custom stuff. So what we're gonna do is, I went over there, we made up a template of the line that we need. This is gonna go right from the master cylinder, and we're gonna move the brake light switch so it's not sticking down on the master cylinder where it could be hanging. So I'm gonna put it over here. So we made a nice aluminum template. You can use coat hanger or whatever you got for a wire, but this will save you some time too, and you won't waste your brake lines bending them the wrong way or whatever you need. This will come out perfect. So to make the bendo, what I do is the same as bending a roll cage. Take a test piece, stick it in your bender. It's just a scrap piece of metal, and all these benders usually have marks on them. So what we're gonna do is put a mark right on the zeros. So we'll take that out, just put a mark. It doesn't even matter where it is. You just want some straight sticking out of both sides. So we got a mark there. Put that back in the tube bender. Put that right on the 0, 0. But you could put it out here if you wanted. You just need a reference mark so that you can do them all the same. So I'm gonna put it on the 0. Bend a 90, even if we're not bending a 90, it doesn't matter. You could bend more than a 90. Just, you wanna have the radius all built in there. So now we're gonna take this, and you can see where that's gonna end up. You just follow you take the tube and you put it up next to it, you follow the radius around. Obviously, we're just gonna bend less to get it to come up about that angle. So we'll put that on our template here, we'll mark that. Now we can take the tube that we wanna bend, that's where the end's gonna be. We're gonna mark that on here. Now we put that on the 0, 0 mark on our bender and bend it, and it'll come out exactly where we want it. Don't forget, you don't want to bend it with the nut on the wrong side. If you do that, you won't get it to go back. Okay, right on the 0, 0. And now I'm not going to bend 90 because we don't want 90. We just hold our template up here. That's pretty good. Okay. Now for the second one, we're gonna do the same thing, and we're still gonna go this way with it. So if you try to bend back this way to get this dimension, it's difficult to do that. With our template here, we can mark this and it's gonna come out exact, so the length from this end to this end comes out perfect. That's where the 0, 0 will be. Put our part back on there. Okay, that's marked. Don't bend it the wrong way. Put that right back on 0. Make sure you got that nice and even. You know, that's going to be perpendicular with that, or actually parallel with that. All right. And back up in there. Oh yeah. Okay. Got the bends we wanted. Now, I left this long, so we're gonna have to take this back over to the bus over there and mark where we're gonna cut it off. So we'll do that, and we'll put it in the vise and flare the end. Be good to go. got our part back over, marked, and got the tubing bender on there. Get that piece cut off. I got our bubble flare tool in the vise now. It's just a little bit different than the other one, but get that cleaned off. Don't forget to have the nut already on there. You won't be able to get it on after this. On the bubble flare, it comes with this little guy. That's the depth gauge. So you want to put that in till it's just sticking out, but it looks like it's sticking out quite a bit. That's where it goes though. Same as Rob said, tighten up the side towards the tube first. Gives you a lot more clamping force. On the bubble flare, this die is built onto, you screw it to the tool. There's different sizes for that. So you don't have to go messing around, and it's a one-shot deal. You just stick it in the hole, snug that down, make sure everything's nice and even. Crank it all the way down till it stops. Okay. When you get to there, please loosen this back up before you try pulling that pin out so it doesn't get stuck in the tube where it's clamped in. This can be awkward. Trying to get that back out. All right, there we go. All right, wipe the paint off of that. You see, perfect bubble flare. Ready to put back in the car. Line's back in the bus. One last thing is when you're putting these fittings in, don't just grab a wrench and crank them on there. You don't want to cross thread any of these into your mash cylinder or your any of the other fittings, the hoses or whatnot, because if you do and they pop off, that's your brakes. You don't want to be playing around with this. What are you doing?
What? Oh, look at all the comments on Facebook. There's so many.
Yeah.
Speaking of comments, comment below. There's a lot less comments here, and we can sift through those a little easier.
A little easier.
Hey, what's this button do?